Yo, coming to you live from World Championship in San Jose. Welcome to the Living Legends podcast.
I saw a funny Facebook post today on the Flesh and Blood fan page. It was just like, why are we hemorrhaging so many players to Flesh and Blood? It was like a screenshot of the Magic the Gathering Flesh and Blood page of someone on. Yeah, did you see that?
I saw it. Yeah. I know
it was funny. It was just like, the professor's getting onto it, Rudy's getting onto it. They're all like sort of hyped about it, and saying great things about the game. And we're losing so many players. And I didn't want to comment, but I was just like, yeah, you probably are.
Yeah. I think the last line of that paragraph was something like, and they have better cash pricing too.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was the same. I really wanted to comment, but I was like, yeah, I probably won't. But
just let it run its course.
Yeah. I don't think I can add anything constructive to it other than just like, yeah, I mean, it's the better game, right?
Better game, better community, no toxicity from what I've heard, and exactly that. So
not selling us $1,000 proxies,
proxies, yeah.
Not jumping hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of cards into landfills for whatever reason.
Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah, that was an interesting one.
It was funny.
You know what? We should just leave this in.
We are, and welcome to the Living Legends podcast, where we slander all manner of different card games. No.
No. Everyone is welcome here.
Exactly.
Everyone is welcome. We just calls it like it is, unfortunately.
That's right.
Yeah.
Honesty is the best policy here. But yeah, welcome back to everybody who's listening to this or watching this, whether it be on Red Zone Rogue or on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm your host for today. My name's Azz from Goarin Gaming, and joined as always by some great people. You probably already know them by now, but we'll introduce each other anyway. I'll throw it over to Bill first.
Hello. Welcome to another episode of the Living Legends podcast. I am Bill from the Spike Feeders, and I'm still just in hype mode for Outsiders. I'm sure you guys both are too, and everybody listening at this point. But yeah, like I had mentioned during our last podcast, I was just frantically slamming decks together, and the more I thought about the decks that I was putting together, the more interested I am in Arachne Solitary Confinement. I think this deck is potentially very cool. I don't know to what extent, but I like jank, so that should give you an idea. But yeah, really excited to continue to talk about Outsiders today. And of course, always excited to just hang out and have some fun.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah.
Sweet. Kel, how's it going, sir?
Hello, it's really good. You mentioned Spotify, and it reminded me something that we talked about a couple weeks ago that I want to mention. By the way, hello, my name is Kel, also known as Red Zone Rogue. And if you are listening to this on Spotify, you should give us a rating. We would very much prefer a 5-star rating, but give us a great rating there. And I think you can even follow us if you use Spotify. I just got I just checked the the dashboard, and it's like, you have 400 followers or whatever, and I was like, oh cool, I didn't even know you could do that. So
nice.
You could do that. And yeah, give us some ratings. I think we have like 40 something ratings with all 5 stars, so
43 last time I checked. 43. Yeah. So, pretty good. All 5 stars, as you said.
Yeah. This is like episode 39, so 39 episodes in, and we're finally asking you to maybe leave us a rating. So that would be cool. That would be cool. No pressure. You don't have to, but
no.
Just wanted to bring it up.
I think it's the same benefit as well. Like if you like someone's video on YouTube or whatever, it's going to help the algorithms. It's going to help Spotify put this Flesh and Blood podcast, if you're listening to other ones, maybe in your homepage or whatever. So it's always good. If you follow us, because I do this with my favorite podcasts like Abroad in Japan and other things, it brings up on your homepage like a little blue dot as to when that podcast has a new episode. So it's always worth doing if you can. Yeah. And I'm really, really sad and vain. I follow the Living Legends podcast as well. So
I'm the one who uploads them, so it's like part of my account. So I couldn't follow if I wanted to. Maybe it just auto does
that's
it.
a shame.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But
If only we had that one extra follower.
yeah,
Exactly right.
hey,
Absolutely.
it all helps. Every single follower helps, including you, dear listener. So follow and rate us, please. That'd be cool.
That'd be awesome. But yeah, so Bill was touching on obviously the hype is building and is, you know, reaching a penultimate stage where we're going to be able to actually get our hands-on cards soon. And I thought this could be a good place to start because there's been a lot of sort of Twitter talk on the internet at the moment. And Tall Timmy actually did a video which I think brought a lot of people's perspectives in on it. His thumbnail was like, Talishar, I need a word with you. You know, like quite stern words. And the premise of the thing is obviously Talishar Felt Table. We touched on it last week recently, but I want to touch on it again because there's a few other things that could be involved with it. But these online platforms are essentially allowing people to test with cards, try out cards, and get like a understanding of what is optimal, what is the best card, what is the most cracked combos you can do before the set is even released. So I'll be interested to know what the audience thoughts are, what your guys' thoughts are on this, and whether it bleeds into maybe other games like Magic. Were they doing this in Magic or anything like that, or other card games? Because it does, for me, I said it last week as well, I think it does detract from the experience of going to a pre-release and opening packs and discovering the cards, but then there does need to be a hype engine building for the set release. So it's like an interesting conundrum, I think.
Yeah. So
Sorry, that was a lot to unpack. There. Sorry.
No. It's all good. It's actually something that I was thinking about last week. I don't remember if I mentioned it, but I think it definitely takes away from the pre-release experience for sure.
Yeah.
Like just knowing that like the people who want to spike all the events anyway are probably gonna have played like dozens of games on Talishar or whatever ahead of time.
That's right. Yeah.
And I do think that detracts from the experience. I'm also of mind that some of those people probably would have done so anyway. Like, some of those people probably would have, you know, made proxies or, you know, made custom cards in not Felt Table, but like Tabletop Simulator or something. So like the super hardcore people might have done that anyway, but having it on something like Talishar makes it much more mainstream. I don't want to say like mainstream because I'm pretty sure like probably a little bit of the Flesh and Blood player base plays Talishar, but I'd imagine most of them don't. But I still think that it does make it much more accessible. And I don't know, maybe it's just me being an old man and being like, back in the day, I liked it when, you know, we just showed up and you just played with the cards. So I definitely understand that some people would do it anyway, but I still feel that it detracts from the pre-release experience. And I don't know, maybe just wait until pre-release drops to put the cards on Talishar. Like, just wait till pre-release. It's not even out yet. Like,
yeah, that's what I mean. And people are already figuring it out as well. It's just like I've in the Azalea Cult Discord and stuff. I haven't played with any cards yet, and people are already saying, "Oh, the Azalea is ridiculous now. She can do this, this, and this." And I'm just like, I haven't really tested anything yet. I want to get the hands on the cards first. So yeah, it's just in a bit of a weird spot because people are already saying, "Oh, this is cracked and this is broken," and it's just like, well, yeah, it could be. You know, if you test it on Talishar, it could give you much better stats than what happened before. But is that a good thing, you know, to have access to that already?
Here's another thing that I just thought about too. If you compare this to another game like Magic, for example, that does have has multiple online clients because for whatever reason. But you know, I think Arena is the more popular one, and the way it works for Magic is that I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but Arena puts out the cards the same time the physical cards are available, right? Like,
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. So like, I would imagine that most card companies, Wizards of the Coast, Legend Story Studios, probably would like people to play the cards when they're like actually available and you can like purchase them.
Exactly.
So like, I don't know, it feels like it goes a little bit against the spirit of it, I suppose.
Mm.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I don't know. It's definitely like a gray area because it is, like you've said, Kel, like it is pretty similar to people just making up their own proxies and playtesting that way. That is something that does happen in Magic like pretty frequently when new cards get released. Or actually, again, before they get released, when they get revealed. And it's something that people will do, but the ease of access that people have with a an engine like Talishar, a platform like Talishar, does kind of feel like it defeats the purpose of a street release date. Like for all intents and purposes, online for the people that jam there anyway, the set is already out, and that like
That's
just
right.
kind
Yeah.
of it just like kind of isn't fair. It functions too similarly to regular Flesh and Blood for me to feel okay about it. I know this isn't the first time I've had to, air grievances about just Talishar as a platform. I'm not necessarily saying that like Talishar is bad. I just think that this is like maybe not a great thing to do. And it's like easily fixed by just saying, like we'll wait for the next thing. But then that also maybe pushes them too far into feeling like an official client. It's super muddy. It's super gray.
Yeah,
here.
that's the thing. Yeah.
So yeah, it's I don't know. It's a little bit weird. This is kind of a spot that Magic doesn't really find itself in because most of the online clients are official clients. At least the ones that are, widely adopted. So it's something about it just makes me feel icky. And I don't necessarily have a super logical way to explain why.
I think it's because like in Magic, right? It's just so much easier to just wait for it to come out on Arena, right? Like you don't have to go jump through all the hoops of, proxying up your cards or, downloading some sort of file to play in Tabletop Simulator when you can just wait like a couple weeks for it to just come out and you're just like, whatever, I'm just going to play when it comes out on Arena. And for here, it's like here, it's a similar situation, except the cards are all available now. And so people could just be like, I'm just going to play now. I think the, at least like a business side, I don't know if this is true. This is just something I just thought about, but it feels a little weird for people to be able to play with the cards without the ability to buy them. I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just something about that where it feels like I don't know if LSS will lose sales because of this or gain sales because of this or net even. I don't know. I don't even know if it matters, but it just feels a little icky. I don't know. They're like, you can build a deck and play Uzuri right now if you want. And like maybe you play it for like a week and you're like, nah, I'm just not gonna buy any outsiders or something. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, and like the thing that I think is also interesting is that these people that have the ability to like play test the decks and the new strategies early, with the ease of access that we've discussed, as well as like there are a decent number of people, especially that are online and part of the online community, that do use Talishar as a platform, as an experience to get games in. And something that ties in really closely to the people who play online, are also the online like third-party marketplace, like the secondary market. So it does feel like if people have the ability to play test early, they could probably skew things maybe unfairly in one way or the other. It feels like this is total speculation now. Somebody's going to clip this and be like, Bill from the Spike Feeders has lost his mind. But like the shadowy speculator cabal could be like, oh, this card's busted. Let's just tell everybody it sucks. And so that we can buy up as many copies as we can.
I mean, like, I don't know how far off that is, but like I know people on Twitter were accusing some like Magic or Flesh and Blood professional players who are also content creators of doing the same thing about like good decks. Like prior to the season, coming
Yeah.
out, they're like, "Oh yeah," they said these decks like suck, and then they actually are like really good, and they go to the
And
tournament.
they played them also about the
Yeah.
day.
Yeah, or the opposite is true. They're like pump a deck that actually sucks, and then play a different deck, right? You know, they're like, "Oh, I got all the fans to like this one deck, but it really sucks," and then
Oh, that's funny.
now I'm gonna play this other deck. First of all, I don't know if that's true at all.
The power of influence, eh?
It's just kind of funny.
Exactly.
It's just kind of funny to think.
It's having influence, and maybe the argument could be made the other way, that somebody says, oh, this card sucks or this card is really good, like you should or shouldn't buy it, and then somebody now has the ability to play test it and kind of see for themselves. That argument does exist as well, but I don't know. Again, it kind of goes against the spirit of the thing. Like the set isn't out yet, so it shouldn't be out yet, as sort of cyclical as that is.
Yeah.
The
The bait and switch is kind of a funny thing, by the way. I just want to cap this off by saying, like, I don't think anyone who like legitimately wants to have any sort of like presence as like a personality or something with who if you want your opinion to matter, you don't bait and switch people, because the first time you do that and you get caught, no one's gonna trust you again. So it's like,
exactly, yeah.
why would you risk your reputation on one stupid thing, like winning like one tournament or whatever? Like, I don't know,
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. So interesting. I think I agree with some of the the detractors on Twitter. This just doesn't feel great. I don't think that they're necessarily doing anything wrong. It just feels bad. I don't know. That's about the most that I can really pinpoint my feelings about.
I agree. It just feels kind of like against the spirit of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like it. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of sort of echo chamber at the moment with regards to this topic. So definitely, if you're listening to this now in the future, leave your comments in the section below. I'm just gonna shout out one person here, Kugane, who if it's not Talishar, it will be Tabletop Simulator. If not that, it will be printing proxies. So Talishar enables equal opportunity. If we want blind pre-releases, maybe we should ask LSS to only show us art during spoiler season going forward. That's another thing as well. Like with spoiler season, that was just one of his tweets, by the way. So shout out to Kugane. Much love to Belgium. He says about spoiler season. Now, spoiler season basically spoiled every single card, right? Essentially.
Well, it's because of the
plus the box openings as well. Spoiled every single card.
Yeah, like before the box openings, there was still like a handful of cards that hadn't been spoiled. But now that they're giving boxes out, more or less every card except for the Fable got spoiled.
And the card galleries also exist on LSS's website. So again, if people wanted to proxy, they could do that easily because all the card galleries are available. So people could do that even if there wasn't like an online client or tabletop simulator. So yeah, it's just one of those things, isn't it? That everyone's going to have an opinion on it. I haven't actually built anything or done anything with the new cards. I've looked at them, but I want to open the packs and experience it for a pre-release. But
I mean,
let us know.
That's what I was saying before. That like people are still gonna, if they want to proxy it, they're gonna proxy it and playtest it anyway. But what this does, putting it on Talishar, just makes it easy for people to do it. So before, some people will definitely proxy it and play it on Tabletop Simulator or proxy it in paper. Some people will do that, but that's only like the really hardcore people will do that. That's right. The fact that it's on Talishar means like everyone now has to play with the cards, more or less, right? If you're playing on Talishar, you have to play with the cards. Unless you're just blindly being like, la la la, I'm not gonna play with the cards. You're still gonna play against them, right? You're still gonna match up against them. So like the fact of putting them on Talishar forces people to play them who are using the client, whereas not doing it makes it more of like this niche thing for only like the super hardcore people who want to put in the time and effort. And most people do not want to put in the time and effort. They'll just wait 2 weeks or whatever. So I think that's what that is.
But could this also hurt like box sales? Like if people are like, there's only a couple of cards I want from this set after seeing all of it, I just want to buy this card. You know, I don't care about the rest of it. Could that also be an issue as well? If all the cards are already released and already being played with?
I think that's like not out of the question. I think that's something that could absolutely happen. Just, you know, because of the nature of people already having access to this, again, like being able to play test it and having that, which again, I something that I do want to point out as well is that this is definitely not like an open and shut black and white sort of thing.
No.
Having, you know, having an opinion about it is great, but everybody is entitled to their opinion, especially when something like this is kind of so vague and nebulous.
Playing devil's advocate, I think the opposite could also be said. I mean, I don't believe this, by the way, but I'm not sure if I believe it either way. But you can also make the argument that like, oh, people could play it and realize the cards are awesome and then want to buy more packs or something. You know, like you could make the argument either way. I just feel the whole thing just feels like, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if it's just me because being an old man, where I'm just like, you know, back in my day, we just showed up to the pre-release and you just played. No one played with the cards, and you just had fun because no one's played with them. Like,
and I mean, the nice thing to again, like a sort of another argument on the opposite side of me just being like, it feels icky. People being able to play test the cards and see what's good can also just be good from a consumer standpoint, because not everybody has infinite money. So it's like if somebody wants to invest into a deck and wants to play something that they know they're going to like, that is their right also as a consumer. And it's something that can be, you know, really helpful. It's like, you know, I only have $100 total, $50 total in my budget, and I want to try out one of these new decks. I can only choose one instead of buying one that you think looks cool and then ends up being so far different from your playstyle or so much weaker than you were anticipating. Then you've kind of, you know, you can recoup your money, but it still feels bad to have bought all of these things and then have to get rid of them immediately, especially because you don't get 100% of your recoup. That is something to be said as well. People having access to these before they have to buy them can also be helpful.
So what you're saying is then everybody should pick up 3 premeditates, essentially?
I mean, I know I want 3 foil. I want 3 foil premeditates.
Cards crazy. A lot of the cards that people are low on starting up are the ones that I'm going to be for sure picking up a playset of immediately. Like, I have a sneaking suspicion that Burdens of the Past is going to be a pretty cheap one to pick up. I'm going to pick up 3 foil ones, not necessarily even because I think they're going to be super strong.
Now they're going to be expensive because we're like
LL Pod effect.
We're like, it's so good, and I'm like, I'm buying 3 foil too. Like, you should buy them. Like,
if you guys are buying them, I'm going to buy them as well.
We have become what we sought out to destroy.
Like,
oh no!
Like seriously, so like it's funny because like personally, I wouldn't touch finance content with like a 10-foot pole, like for many reasons. But the way I think about it isn't like, oh, I want to make money off of this card. The way I think about it is, I like this card, and if it's cheap, I want to buy it before it gets expensive because I want the copies. Like, so like Burdens of the Past is a good example because like I definitely want 3 foil copies of that card because first of all, I think the card is awesome, but also I think it's like pretty good, and I'll probably play it in some decks. And if it's like $2 for a foil copy, gimme. And I'll be very sad if it shoots up to like $20 per foil copy, and I'll be like, God damn it, I wish I just bought them when it was $2. So
welcome to the Living Legends Finance Corner. So the best sellers at the moment on Card Market. This is the site that I use for European cards. Are actually Deadeye, Heatseeker, and Immobilizing Shot. So all Ranger cards.
Everybody's high up on Ranger right now. Everyone's
high up on Ranger, and I'm glad I got the Deadeyes when I did because they were fairly. I think they were 30% less than what they are now. So yeah, Deadeye's trending to be quite a good card. See, it's interesting to see. Also, Battering Bolt is also up there as well. Battering Bolt is a fantastic card against stuff like Arachne and Azuri that have a lot of reactions, because if that hits, they just discard all of those things. So yeah, Battering Bolt could also be a nice bit of tech to pick up as well.
Battering Bolt's also one of the only 6-attack Ranger cards. So for
Exactly.
one of your worst matchups against Dromai, it actually functions as a really good popper. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah,
I've always loved Battering Bolt.
yeah,
I love it.
Me too. It's a good card.
It's a good one.
I think it's actually extra good with Riptide because you don't have to have the stupid Ranger attacks with Riptide, because you can play something like a Ravenous Rabble or something and then put it in your arsenal and then just play it. So it's basically just like a 2-for-6 instead of a 3-for-6. So
Or you could play Premeditate and give it +3 while also loading it in for free. Boom.
coming in
Oh
for
my
9.
god, that's vile, mate.
Hell
It's
yeah.
vile.
Coming in for 9. Yeah.
Premeditate and Riptide are completely bypassed me, but yeah, Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a good one. That's your weekly segment, the Living Legends Finance Corner. The same advice as always. Buy what you want to play with.
Buy what you want.
Yeah, buy what you like, what you want to play with.
That's
a good thing about
what I do, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's why I have the collection that I do of, like, I have basically at least one of every card.
Yeah.
And it's just because if I want to play with it at some point in the future, I already have it.
Yeah.
Our financial advice is like the opposite of others. Other people give you advice to make money. Our advice is to help save you money, to like buy this card before you have to spend like $20 on it.
Oh, would you look at that? What a fantastic spin on things. It really is.
Yeah, exactly.
We're helping you save money. Just buy the cards you want.
It reminds me actually of some comments that people left on my video about the surgical extraction reprint. And a lot of people were like, "Oh, thank you for posting about this. I almost bought some surgicals. You just saved me a bunch of money." And I'm like, I hope I did. I really hope I did.
Saving money.
Like,
there we go.
It was
That's a good.
Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I was going to say that's a good segue. So carry on, yeah. But surgical was reprinted, wasn't it? Well, it will be. So
yeah. And we had a big discussion in my Discord, in the Rogues Gallery Discord, about like card pricing, availability, all this kind of stuff. It was really, really great conversation. And this is one of the reasons I really love the community, especially like the community on my Discord. Is like we had a great talk about it, and we were like, everyone is like pretty like well-reasoned takes. Like no one wants all the cards to be like $1, because that would suck for like everyone, to be honest. Like like for me, one of the points that I made is like, if I was looking at a new game and I like no card was worth more than $5, I'd be like, ugh, what's wrong with this game? No one cares about the card. That'd be a huge red flag for me.
Yeah.
But on the flip side, I also don't think 3 of staples should be like $100 a piece. I think that's ridiculous. Whereas like, you know, a legendary, I think you can justify it a little bit more. You only need one of it. You can swap it around in decks or whatever. But something like surgical extraction, or you can even make the argument for like Command and Conquer or whatever, needing like 3 of them and they're like $100 a pop is ridiculous. This is someone, I own like 9 Command and Conquers. I have a full playset of surgical extractions. I want to lose the value. I want my Command and Conquers to be worth $30, because when my Command and Conquers are $30, that means other people can play and buy Command and Conquers and have decks and be competitive and feel good about playing the game. And that's what I personally want. Is I want more people to play the game, because it's my favorite game. I love it, and I want more people to play it. And so like I was like, I actually really hope that surgical, like, people panic and like, you know, the scalpers panic and try to dump surgicals and it goes down to like $20 or something like that. Because like, you know, I as someone who already has like my foil set, well, I'm missing one foil, but foil set and non-foil set, I want them to lose value, because I want other people to be able to buy them and play with them. So
like I've already spent my money on things, and like I said, I collect them to play with them. Like I have, I don't know, like the only card that I have a bunch of multiples of that's worth like really any money at all is just High Octane, and the only reason I have like 10 of them is because I cannot stop pulling them. Every time I buy Arc, I pull a High Octane. Which is
what do you mean? What do you mean every time you buy Arc? You can't even get it anymore.
I know.
it's like You can still get it here in the
Um,
States, but it's like $120 a box, which
I
is.
was going to say, Bill's just cracking Ark for the sake of it over there.
I have one sealed Arc box left on my
Oh,
deck.
wait for a Go Bananas.
I technically have two, but yeah. No. I don't know what I'm gonna do with that one. My sealed collection here in the studio has gone down over the last couple months because I haven't been replenishing it. So I'm down to like one of every set from WTR all the way to Everfest. I have one of all of them, except for two Monarch. And then downstairs in our game room, I have one of each, just kind of as a display.
Nice,
so
yeah.
I just add to every single set. There's just all the Flesh and Blood things. Anyway, if you didn't know, I kind of skipped over this. Surgical Extraction is getting reprinted in Dusk Till Dawn, and it will be reprinted at the same frequency as it was in Dynasty, so that the total number of surgical extractions will be the intended amount. So their goal is to basically make up for it being short printed in Dynasty. So they're not going to be printing at the same rate as a regular Majestic. It's going to be printed at it'll be short printed. So once again, the overall effect is that we'll have the same number of copies in the market as though it had never been short printed. So that is the idea. Only the non-foil version, because the foil version was not short printed. Only the non-foil version was. So I've seen a lot of people like with not completely accurate information. They're like, oh, now the foil version is going to be worth a lot. Well, that might be true, but the foil version was not short printed, so it has the same amount of versions as it should.
Yeah.
And I will also note, this is another thing that I've seen people get upset about. They're like, oh, how is it gonna? It's gonna ruin the Dusk Till Dawn draft experience. Well, Dusk Till Dawn is not a draft set, so
no,
you don't have to worry about that. In fact, the upside here is that now you might be able to pull a card that's worth like $30, right? I mean, now it's currently still worth more than $30, but hopefully once it gets reprinted, it'll be like $30 or whatever. So that's what's going on.
That's the interesting thing as well. Like Dusk Till Dawn is obviously on our docket here. I think we mentioned it maybe a little bit before, but obviously it's not a draftable set. But James did mention that there's going to be obviously a big theming around it essentially. So it's going to be interesting to find what's in the set, because obviously if there's an assassin card in there, obviously it means that there's going to be support for all heroes, as a normal supplementary set would be, or not.
Maybe. We don't know. All we know about Dusk Till Dawn is it said that it's a return to the battle against Light and Dark, and that we will see, it specifically mentioned in the ICV2 article that we will see the return of Shadow, Runeblade, and Light Illusionist. It was very vague. We don't know if we're going to see another Prism or Chain. We don't know if we're going to see another new character entirely that fills those archetypes. But we do know it's a Light and Shadow themed set. And we also know that James said he was very, very excited for it. It was his most anticipated set. And also that it would be very different. And what that makes me think is that we will not see support for all classes. Or if we do, it'll be heavily diminished. The fact that Surgical Extraction in there is like an easy thing. Like it could be the only assassin card in the whole set, like, is what I'm trying to say. Like, they could just push it in there just to get the reprint out, and then that's it.
Or maybe it is like a themed set, but there's like a slot in there which could be, reprints of massive cards for certain classes. Maybe.
I mean,
I don't know.
We'll have to wait. We'll have to wait and see once we learn more information about it. But I would be willing to bet money that we see many, many, many more Light and Shadow cards, possibly just straight up light cards and straight up Shadow cards, which I think would probably be really good. And definitely we're seeing Shadow Runeblade and Shadow Runeblade and Light Illusionist. I would also be willing to bet we see Bolton and Leviathan support as well. I think those are all kind of like slam dunks, right? I think we're just going to see support for all of the Monarch classes and heroes. I think the big questions are if they're going to introduce new combinations, like if we're going to see like a shadow mech. Like everyone wants a shadow mech.
Oh, love it. Yeah.
Because that sounds busted as hell.
Shadow mech.
I personally, in the video that I made talking about it, I personally was like, it'd be cool if they did like opposites. So like, there's a shadow, there's shadow rune blade, but what if they did like a light rune blade and it was like a paladin or something like that, like a light rune blade, you're using like a holy avenger sword kind of deal.
Light cleric. Yeah.
Cleric, yeah. Or like shadow assassin or shadow ranger just sounds really cool. Yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff that they could do with that set. Yeah.
That's a good thing about these sets as well, though. Is like I was going to mention it earlier when we were speaking about the finance corner as such, but there's certain people in my Discord that are like, okay, we've got assassin, ranger, and ninja in outsiders. I can skip this set then because I don't play any of those classes. I'm waiting for the new mech support to come out. Is that a good thing about Flesh and Blood as well? Do you think that people can sometimes just skip certain sets? Because this could be similar to this one as well, right? If it's just light and shadow themed with maybe a smattering of new cards, it's also not wallet fatigue if you don't have to invest into the set that doesn't feature your favorite heroes as well, potentially.
I think sort of, and I also think it goes into the fact that LSS wants to move away from expansion sets. So let me explain.
Yeah.
That. So I think, yes, people will do that for sure because there are a lot of people who are diehard on their class or even their hero and who kind of like skip other, buying other sets. I think that's way easier to do if it's an expansion set, right? Because if it's an expansion set and you're like, oh, my class isn't in here or whatever, like it could be for Dusk Till Dawn, then you're like, oh, I can skip it and just buy singles. Like if there's like a cool, generic or whatever that I want, I'll just buy singles, which is fair and probably the most economical thing. However, I think one of the reasons why LSS might want to be moving towards draft sets is that for a draft set, even if your class isn't in that set, you could still have fun drafting or playing limited or playing sealed.
Yeah,
right?
definitely.
So like even if you don't give a crap about like outsiders, it looks like an amazing draft experience. So you can still go to your LGS and draft it, and then maybe sell the singles or something. To like try to quote go infinite. Sell the singles so you can draft again or buy whatever with store credit.
Yeah, I know people that do that. They literally go to the thing, see if they can win. If not, just get rid of the cards. Just live for that draft or limited experience.
Yeah, and I think like if you're LSS, that's kind of where you want to be because you kind of still want your fans to play the cards that you make. So you like having draft sets more prevalent. I think is great for everyone, right? Gives a player something to do. Gives people reasons to buy packs. Outside of just opening them for singles, because let's be honest, that's what an expansion set is. You're literally buying packs to open for singles. You can't, outside of weird jank things, you can't actually like play with the packs like you could like draft or sealed. So that's my opinion on it. I think people definitely will skip sets because of that.
Yeah. And I think that's fine. I don't think that
can't fault them.
I think that kind of just helps with Flesh and Blood's sort of whole dynamic, as weird as that is, because like we've mentioned multiple times, being able to say like this is my hero, this is the type of class that I like, having the ability to sort of wait around for a new set where something is exciting and something works for you, I think then like instead of it being even or slightly decreasing, you have like somewhere are low and somewhere it's really high in terms of excitement. So I like that. I like that. You can just sometimes take some time off to be like, I'm just going to work on what I have already, and then if there's another set that has a bunch of support for the thing that I like, then awesome. Then this is my time to go all in.
Yeah. No, exactly. Well, I think it's a great thing because there's like certain sets where I didn't go as much as hard into it because I was just like, I probably will never play these, but I'll just do it for maybe like a box break video or hanging out with you guys when we broke the Uprising boxes open because there was nothing in there that I really wanted to play in Uprising. I pulled the Crown of Providence, which was great on stream. But yeah, I think it's great. Like Monarch as well. I didn't really crack much of that because I don't really play any of those heroes either. And both of them are now LL, so I'm glad I sort of didn't. I guess in CC at least.
I mean,
but
if those characters, shout out to Monarch Speckers, I guess. If those two archetypes become hot again, like a lot of the cards in Monarch could be like valuable.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I think it's a positives and a little bit of negatives, but getting to all draft sets, I think, makes a lot of sense on many, many different fronts.
I think so too.
For LSS. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely. Nice. Yeah, I think this we've asked quite a few different sort of deep and deep dive questions today, which I think has been quite good. But you mentioned something earlier about Baltimore, and there's going to be some artists there which haven't been in an event before. I think you mentioned. Yeah,
it's just something that I got excited about because, well, first of all, I'll say I will not be going to Pro Tour Baltimore. Basically, it's just for like purely money reasons. Like, it's on the other side of the country. Like, plane tickets are expensive, going to the event is expensive, and I would just be going for fun because I do not have a Pro Tour invite, and also I know that I am not on the coverage team. I already know who's on coverage team. They haven't announced it yet, but it's not me. I can say that it's not me. So I won't be going to Baltimore. But if you are, or just want to go for fun, there will be artists there. And some of the artists, at least the one that I'm talking about right now, has never been to a Flesh and Blood event yet. And it's really exciting because it's one of my favorite artists. This is the Arachne artist, Izuardi Therianto. And he's done some really, really cool stuff. Obviously, he's done Arachne and Adult and Young. He did Premeditate, the card that we talked about a few times.
Oh, my heart.
And just like a bunch of other cards. If you look him up and look at the cards he's done, I think he's got a thing on the Art House Syndicate website. If you go there, and it just shows all the art he's done. He did Shock Charmers. That's another a really big one that people probably recognize him for. Frost Hex is probably another one that people have seen a lot of and are probably
he's done.
Yeah,
he's done quite a lot of stuff actually.
Yeah,
you can see the sort of influences sort of bleeding through into each card as well, which is nice. Razor's Edge, obviously, that's a massive Arachne card as well, isn't it? Obviously,
looks awesome.
It's done some really good ones, really nice ones.
And so I saw this that he was going to be there, and I was like, oh, I want to get some stuff signed, but I'm not going to be there. So I asked a good buddy of mine, good friend of our podcast here, Jim from FAB TCG Cards, not Bill's brother, Jim, if you remember.
No, of course, that's right.
Yeah, because he's going to be going there. He lives in the area, and so I was just like, hey man, are you going to Baltimore? He's like, yeah, and I'm like, cool. If I send you some cards, can you get them signed by Izuardi for me? And I'll pay for everything. Don't worry about it. I'll reimburse you for everything.
Epic.
But what's cooler about that is when I looked at Izuardi's Instagram page, I saw that he does hand-drawn shikishi of Flesh and Blood characters, and you can't see it back here, but I have two. There's too much glare, but I have two hand-drawn shikishis from Livia Prima, and she did Prism for me, and then she also did a Dromai for me. And when I saw that Izuardi does this too, I immediately sent him a message on Instagram. Nice. And I was like, hi, my name is Kel. I'm a Flesh and Blood YouTuber, blah, 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 blah. I'm a big fan of your artwork. Are you going to have any Shikishis available at Baltimore? Or could I commission you to do one custom for me? And he was like, yep, here's the prices. I'll tell you what they are because, it's a $200 for the smaller Shikishi, $250 for a bigger one. Which
that's the same size as what you got on your background there, is it? The smaller one.
I think so.
Yeah.
And nice. That's pretty standard. So that's not like super high or super low.
No.
That's like pretty standard. And to be honest, really freaking good for a unique custom hand-drawn piece of art. And so he said, yeah, and I'm like, yeah, dude, I want the big one. And he's just like, oh, just let me know what you want me to draw. And I was like, can you draw me Uzuri, either adult or young, your choice. If you would prefer to draw a character that you've already drawn before, just let me know and I'll pick something else. And he's like, oh, I really like the vibes of adult Uzuri. We'll do that. And I'm like, hell yeah.
Oh, sick.
So he's gonna draw me an adult Uzuri, Shikishi that Jim was gonna pick up for me in Baltimore and mail to me.
Oh, nice. Okay.
So yeah, I think that kind of stuff is just super cool. It's just super.
Yeah,
cool.
that's cool.
Yeah. So if you're planning on going to Baltimore or whatever, he's going to be there. I would imagine other artists are going to get announced as we get closer to the time. Baltimore, if you didn't know, is on the weekend of April 29th. It's like the 28th to the 30th or something like that. The only reason I remember that specifically is because my partner's birthday is on the 29th. So like that's another reason why I wouldn't be able to go unless I was like getting paid to go.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, I just wanted to mention that. I think it's super cool. I love supporting the artists. I legitimately think Flesh and Blood has some of the best and most underrated artists in the entire card gaming industry. I think they're all fantastic. And the fact that they source a lot of these artists from lesser known areas, like there's a lot of artists from like the Philippines and Southeast Asia, like I think it's awesome. And their artists.
I'm just looking at I'm just looking at Izuardi's profile now on Art House, and again another fantastic artist coming out of Indonesia. So many epic people from Indonesia making great art.
Yes.
So.
Some of my favorite artists and absolutely wonderful people that I've worked with are Indonesian artists, like Emanuela Crovius, she's the one who did the 15K splash art that I'll be showing off. I don't know what is up with Indonesia, but there's like so many amazing artists out of Indonesia. I have a feeling
there's something in the water over there.
I actually have a feeling, and if you're from Indonesia or you have any knowledge about this, let me know if I'm right or not. I have a feeling it's because most jobs in Indonesia don't pay particularly well, but art is gonna be the same rate no matter what. Like it's just an industry thing, like a worldwide industry thing. And so like if you're paying an artist like $2,000 for a piece of commissioned artwork, that's probably like, I mean, that's really good in the US, right? But that's probably also like really good in Indonesia, like time per money. So I have a feeling that might be one of the reasons. Maybe like they have more incentive to be artists. But either way, a lot of talented people there. Like I
100%.
Before Flesh and Blood, I didn't realize just how many good artists were from there. Shout out to Bima and Sylvia Meliani as well. I believe they're in that area too. I'm not sure exactly, but anyway. So yeah, if you're going to Baltimore, definitely check out Izuardi. Like I said, he did Arachne. He drew Arachne. He's gonna have some artist proofs there. I don't know if he's gonna have the Shikishis there. If you're listening to this and you're like $200 for a piece of hand drawn artwork, custom, like you literally say what you want. If you think that's cool and you want to do that, just message him on Instagram. That's what I did, and
nice.
I'm actually incredibly excited for it. I'm gonna stick it back up here. I think I can move these two just a little bit over and stick it kind of like in this empty space right here.
Have you seen Izuardi's signature as well? It looks proper cool.
Yeah.
I'm looking on Art House signature now. Art House Syndicate now. Which is another great website as well. We'll shout out those as well because they've got all of the artists on there and like what you can come to expect from them as well, which is great. Says like you can buy prints and custom art sketches and stuff on there as well, which is quite nice. So it's good to see that there's a website dedicated to them as well, which is fantastic.
Yeah. Love to see it. Absolutely.
Yeah, love to see it.
Absolutely love to see it. It's I mean, I don't want to get on the soapbox even more, but like artists are basically what makes the game look the way it does, gives it the vibe and the feel that it does. I think they're incredibly important. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Shout out. Nice. If you're one of the random artists who watch our podcast, shout out to you. Yeah. Because I know there's some really good like Brazilian ones as well. Yo.
Yeah. I think there was a artist contracted by LSS recently, wasn't there, for concept art and stuff that was from Brazil?
That was,
if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Is that what? Okay, right. I see.
Is it Henrik Lindner?
Henrik, yeah.
I want to say Henrik because it looks French, but Lindner, who actually like commented on the last podcast because we were talking about him and he commented on it. And
I see.
I was like, oh damn, he does listen to it. But yes,
there we are.
He was contracted by LSS. He now works in the creative department doing like concept artwork and possibly even artwork for. Oh no, not possibly. I think we saw some artwork for the stories, right? For the lore articles.
Yeah, the story. Yeah,
yeah. Because Sam Yang traditionally does a lot of those, but I think in one of the previous ones that we saw Lindner do some of those too. So
yeah, those articles are so important as well. Like bringing people into the world and explaining the story. And as James said. On the Fluke and Box podcast, when I asked him about an Avengers team up, when he said "Hold my beer," there is obviously an overarching storyline which is going to be the penultimate to all these things that are building up. So it's good.
Bro, they mentioned in the article about Shiana, they mentioned L'Apocalypta, which is something that we talked about.
Exactly.
Remember?
Yeah, we did talk about that.
Podcast listeners, remember we were talking about the Outsiders lore and how it might tie into everything else, and I was like, well, there's like this Doomsday cult that they're
doing some shit.
There are several cards in Outsiders that mention Apocalypta in the flavor text. Death Touch is one of them, as well as one of the plagues. So I think it really heavily implies that L'Apocalypta, pardon me, are the ones behind these plagues. I think they're the ones doing the plagues. Yeah. And yeah. It also mentions that the Aesir, that there is an Aesir associated with the pits, and it's like the Aesir of Chaos or something. It's like the Raven. Which just sounds
Raven.
Which just sounds really cool. Not that Raven. Not Bran the Broken.
It's just Bran just sat on a chair, just like dictating everything.
Yeah. Bran the Broken. No.
Bran the Broken.
I get some PTSD from that. Ugh. Not the fact that Bran ended up being who he is. I won't spoil it if you want whatever Game of Thrones. But like, ugh. Yeah. I don't talk about it. How disappointing.
We're going into Arsenal step territory, but Game of Thrones, the ending. What do people think of that?
Oh God.
They rushed like 4 seasons worth of stuff into like 1 season. That's my thought on it, and it feels that way.
Same.
You can feel it. Everyone felt it. So much so that like people at my work at the time, we were like talking about Game of Thrones a lot. The new episode would drop, and we talk about it at work while we were doing, whatever boring crap we were doing. And after it ended, no one talked about it. It dropped off the face of the earth. Like,
yeah, that's right.
Everyone. I have not seen like a media property go from like really, really high to absolutely nothing like overnight.
It's so weird, wasn't it?
And the funniest part is that the Russo brothers rushed it because they wanted to get done so they can do a Star Wars movie. This is what I've heard and what I've read through things. So they rush it out. HBO actually wanted to give them more seasons. Like, this is a known thing. HBO wanted to give them more seasons, but they were like, no, we can do it in 1. And because they wanted to get to Star Wars. And it did so bad that they got fired from Star Wars. Like, so like,
rightly so as well.
They like shot themselves in the face. Like, not only did they like kind of ruin, not kind of, they definitely did ruin Game of Thrones, at least the ending of it, but they also like did it so badly that they weren't able to do the thing that they wanted to do. So
yeah,
that was such a gong show. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I remember, this has nothing to do with Flesh and Blood, but because we are in the talking about Game of Thrones thing, my personal beef was, it was one of the episodes of the last season. Jon Snow, this is spoilers for a show that's been out for 10 years. If you haven't seen this yet, you're not going to. Just don't even kid yourself.
Yeah.
Jon Snow gets placed into a field surrounded by a bunch of they're not the White Walkers, but they're the underlings. the zombies basically.
Yeah, yeah.
It's placed into a field. There's a bunch of those snow zombies that are around him. They start to come to life. We pan out, see him start like fighting them, or at least he's like preparing to fight them, and then it cuts off to somebody else, and it's like, okay, this is Game of Thrones. He's dead. Like we're gonna cut back, and he's gonna be dead. That's fine. He's died once before. Whatever. Who cares? They cut back, and he's fighting them off one at a time, and he's just like, somebody help me. Meh, meh, meh. It's like,
I mean, that, like,
why?
I mean, that, sure, like, what was like, oh god, that whole season, like, there was some cool stuff, there was some cool stuff leading up to it, but, like, multiple things just, like, okay, let's itemize it just a little bit quickly. I won't spend too much time. There were multiple episodes that were, like, shot in entire darkness, like, both battles and...
the whole long night episode, yeah.
Yeah, but it was like, it felt like 3 episodes. There was like they're like in the keep and then running through it, and it's like all just darkness. It's like the scene from Jurassic Park when the kids are running from the raptor in the kitchen, but they turned every light out and it's completely pitch black. Yeah. You can't see anything. That's what it was. So there's that. So it's like poor cinematography that just looked awful. The fact that Jon Snow had like almost no purpose. He was the lore-wise, getting into some Game of Thrones lore, he was like the prince who was promised, right? He's the one who like resurrected. He was supposed to be like a really key part to ending the Nightwalker threat or whatever, and he didn't do anything. He was just like got his butt.
It was Arya, come to save the day.
I mean, that was pretty cool. Arya Stark is like one of my favorite characters in the show. That was pretty awesome. Like she just shanked him. Like she's true assassin. Like absolutely just ganked the Night King.
It was just I didn't like that personally. I wanted to have like a big showdown between Jon Snow and the Night King. Like that whole, because he was running away from him, wasn't he? He was running away from him, like wounded as well. He was chasing him, wasn't he?
Well, like, he was like fighting off a dragon, I think. Like I think he was like hiding behind some rocks, and a dragon was like shooting fire at him.
Yeah.
And like he was like trying to get to it, but he couldn't. But like, and then Melisandre just walks out and takes off her necklace and turns to dust or whatever.
Just dies. Yeah.
But like, I try to justify it in my head. I'm like, okay, then like from a literary standpoint, like from like an actual like writing and plot standpoint, what the hell would the purpose did Jon Snow have? Why is it important that he came back to life? And I'm like, I guess he's the one who like unified all of this armies. Like, I guess he's the reason that they're there to begin with. That's the best reason I can give. Like, and then like Daenerys, like I saw this turn coming like a mile ahead. And this is one of the things that I was very happy that I called. I'm like Daenerys is crazy, and everyone's like, no, she's like the best. And I'm like, she's crazy. She's just killing people. It doesn't matter like for the reason, like if it's a good reason. She is actually just murdering tons and tons and tons of people. Most of them are terrible people. But she's still like actually just killing them and burning them alive. And like
there was a few scenes that she did that, weren't there? She ordered the dragon to like burn all those. I can't remember the precise storyline, but there was moments in there of madness, wasn't there, leading up to it?
Yeah, I mean, like it was like she was like freeing all the slaves from their oppressors, which was cool.
Yeah,
and then she was like murdering and killing all the oppressors, and you're like, yeah, that's cool. She's beating the bad guys, and then she keeps doing it, and then she keeps doing it, and then when she finally gets to a place where they're maybe not bad guys, they're like, the people of Westeros or whatever, and then she keeps doing it. She's like burns all the actual people, and it's like, what do you think was gonna happen? Like that's what she does. She kills the people, and then like and it's like I feel bad for all the parents who named their children like Daenerys or whatever, because you named it after like a psychopath.
Danny.
Yeah, and then like like Jon Snow like kills her. Like I don't know.
This could be a completely separate podcast.
Anyway,
yeah. I was gonna say the comments on this one, the comments on this episode are gonna be so confusing.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, wait. If you're listening this far and you watched Game of Thrones, let us know the most egregious thing that happened in the final season. What do you hate the most? What do you hate the most?
We need to cap it off of what our thoughts are on what we despise the most about it as well. I think so. I've definitely got one. I definitely have one.
There's a couple things that I actually liked. Most of the things I hated. I really hated that Jaime Lannister's entire story arc was completely pointless. Like he's just like,
Yeah.
he had this cool story arc of like building his character and all this, and at the end he's just like, nah, I just love my sister, and he just runs in, and they both just die from like boulders for no reason. Like it's like Deus Ex Machina. Everything else has like some sort of reason, and then they just like, here's the boulders just fall on them or whatever. Just kill them off. Like
that whole redemption arc was just wasted. It's completely wasted on him.
And then like
it's just like, what are you doing?
And then like everything with like Cersei, it's like she just gets killed by boulders. Like Arya doesn't kill her. No one gets like poetic justice or revenge on her. Just rocks just fall on her. I don't know. Like how do we want to kill off like one of the main characters, the main bad guys, or?
Well, that's what I mean. They're supposed to be the main bad guy as well, right? Like even though the whole series started with the White Walkers, it should have ended with them. I reckon it should have been more of like a poetic. This is going to be everybody who's been a dick in the past should form an alliance, similar to how I was on about Avengers style, everyone coming together to defeat the greater purpose of evil, which is the White Walkers, right? And when they're on screen, similar to if you've watched the Last of Us show, when they're on screen, the threat level of them is just absolutely ridiculous. But then in the last episode, it's just like the threat level just out the window. Arya comes out of nowhere and just kills him. It's just like, okay then. You could. I know it is cool that she obviously developed her character and was an assassin and all that sort of thing. But I just think it was when he died, they all died, didn't they? It just ended way too quickly. I think the White Walker threat in general. That was my main gripe with it.
I mean, I think everything just happened way too quickly, to be honest.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
I do like Arya killing the Night King. It like shows like her that's like her story arc being like, completed. But like I honestly thought like there's a lot of fans. And maybe this is just them being like, "Ooh, we subverted your expectations" or whatever. But I was like, I was hoping that Arya would end up killing Cersei, and then Jon Snow would kill the Night King. Like I thought that
makes sense.
I thought that
makes
like,
much more sense.
That was the thing, but they're like, "Oh no, we're going to subvert your expectations." Jon Snow was pointless.
That's more personal as well, isn't it? It's more personal. It's like a human killing another human for all the crap that they've done, and then Jon Snow's like this big righteous knight and killing the monster as such, the zombie monster makes much more sense in my opinion. But
what if? Hear me out. What if we have both Cersei and Jaime trying to run away underneath the castle, and then some rocks fall on them, and that's how they die? No one else even sees it. No one else is even there, except for maybe.
Go with that.
Let's go with that instead.
Guy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Bro,
the audience, get to experience the grandiose death by falling rocks.
One part that I did think was cool though was the Hound fighting the Mountain, that
was good.
Like how they're fighting on the staircase and they both kind of like killed each other. I thought that was actually kind of cool.
The Mountain versus the Viper was, if we want to talk about subverted expectations.
That was when it was good.
That crushed my soul. Yeah,
that was it. That was a good fight. That was
quality.
Crushed my soul, dude. Like,
oh yeah,
poor Joel.
Oh my god, dude, that was so good. See, that's when Game of Thrones
Pascal
was like very good, because you're like,
was good stuff.
Like that was legitimately shocking, and it was like graphic, and I was like, holy shit! And they made you really like the character. I think that's one of the things.
Exactly.
That, like everyone, I love the character. I think his name is Oberon. Everyone,
that's right.
Yeah, Oberon.
Everyone loved him. Yeah. He's got like this, charming swagger about him, and he's like, cutting the Viper with his like poisoned spear, or cutting the Mountain with his like poisoned spear, like being like, you killed my wife or whatever, and
you murdered her,
and he started
raped her,
bloviating way too much,
and
he did
his downfall.
And then the Mountain's just like, like,
oh man, it's horrible.
He's like, I don't care about all your fanciness. I'm just gonna absolutely crush your head like a
pure brute
cantaloupe. Oh my god.
Yeah. Anyway, I feel like I do want to. Do I? I feel like I do want to try and watch it again. Maybe just see if it was as bad as it was just pure shock to me. Like as a appreciator of film and media, it was just like, what the is this?
There's a couple other things I just remembered. And I'm not sure if they were in that season or the season before, but there's like the one where Jamie was like, it's when the dragons came in and he was like burning up his army, and then he like jumps into like the lake or the river or whatever, and he's like kind of sinking down, and you can see the silhouette of the dragon, and you're like, oh, that's pretty tough. That's pretty dire. Is Jamie gonna die? And then they cut to the next season, and he's just fine. Like he's not even in the lake anymore. He's just like, I'm Jamie. You're like, what the hell? Like what the hell happened? I feel like there was like,
Jamie.
I feel that there's like some important stuff that happened between him being in the lake and like the dragon killing everything, and then just being like, no, I'm cool.
I'm Jamie.
I'm
Jamie.
Like, what the?
The way that Kel said that just reminds me a lot of when Az does his American accent.
You fell for my gambit. You fell for my gambit.
Fell for my gambit.
Oh man.
Oh my god.
I really love that show. Yeah. Well, it sucks so much. I feel like. Yeah.
I'm so sorry I brought up this thread, by the way.
No. Did we have any other Flesh and Blood stuff we wanted to talk about this week?
I don't think so, no. I think it's fairly tame.
Yeah. No, I think we're probably good. I'm excited for Dusk Till Dawn. I want there to be another light illusionist or just more illusionist attacks. I'm in for that.
What are your guys' opinions on Dusk Till Dawn? I don't think we've actually talked about it properly. Like, even though we don't have a lot of information, but what do you guys think?
I'm upset about the fact that if we get a new light illusionist, it still means that I won't be able to play my deck in CC because Luminaris bit the dust with Prism in CC. So as excited as I am for that, I have to temper my expectations.
Yeah, That's one of the downsides of them walking off into the sunset with their weapon is like Luminaris is just gone for good. Like you're just not going to get it back unless you know you can play your jank. You can play, I mean, not your jank deck. You can play your absolutely lovely deck in Living Legends format. You can play in Living Legends format.
True. I'll be able to play it against Starva
and Chain
and no ban list Chain. Like
beautiful, lovely.
People think Starvo is bad, Starvo is bad, but just imagine no ban list Chain. Like Chain is disgusting, like absolutely disgusing. The only thing that like helped keep Chain in check was another absolutely disgusting hero in Prism. Like it'll be a really interesting format actually. Like Prism, Chain, Starvo, and then plus I don't know, like Briar or Oldham or whoever gets there next.
It's interesting to look at the Living Legends system as well with regards to that, because obviously they have the signature weapons, but some of the heroes' signature weapons are tokens and others are majestics. It's just like, is that a bit of a disconnect as well, like as to how powerful the weapons have to be as well? Because obviously we got Prism, obviously, has got a majestic. Oldham's got a majestic, and Winter's Whale. Obviously, that's banned now. Lexi's got Voltaire, which is fair enough. That's probably her saving grace. Levire's got Hexagore. You know, all these are majestics. Raiden is Sir Bolton's weapon. But other things like Searing Emberblade, you know, that's Fi's weapon. Storm of Sandakai is Drumai's weapon. You know, there's a disconnect between majestic and token, so it's going to be interesting to see if that changes going forward.
Sort of. I mean, like arguably the strongest weapon in the game is a token, like Rosetta Thorn, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah, exactly. That's
so like, it feels like sometimes it feels arbitrary, like the power level of the weapons, because like you look at something like Galaxy Black, and then you look at something like Rosetta Thorn, and it's like, I don't know, these aren't exactly made equal.
No.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a
weird one.
It's interesting that the weapons LL2. That's just I talked about it when the news happened, but I think I still feel the same way. I think it's cool and it's flavorful, and it also gets that crap out of the meta. So
Yeah.
I could dig that too, especially when it comes to something like Rosetta Thorn, when people are just like,
Yeah,
this card is gross, and it's just in every Runeblade deck. Like, yeah, like when Viscera is running Rosetta Thorn, you're like, come on now, like,
yeah, go away, yeah.
yeah. And like, I guarantee whatever Runeblade they come out with in Dusk Till Dawn will probably also use Rosetta Thorn, unless they make another overpowered Runeblade weapon.
Another 1/4 is hybrid damage, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, what's it gonna take for you to run something over Rosetta Thorn? Like, seriously. Like, it has to be either a really unique design space or something really unique to the hero, because, like, on raw power, Rosetta Thorn is disgusting. And it's like, not hard to activate. You just do Runeblade stuff. You just do what you're doing normally, and then you can just do it.
I want some form of. I know we've seen this in like toxicity and stuff, but I want to see more life loss effects gated behind low power attacks. Like maybe like a dagger that says it's a one for whatever. But if it hits, they lose 2 life or 3 life. Something that incentivizes a little bit of a block, but is not ridiculously hard to stop. Because Rosetta Thorn is a 1/4, 2 sources of damage. I think this is a bit. And what is the maximum damage you can have on a weapon as well? Because the highest one is Hexagore, isn't it, for 6, or Sledge for 6 as well.
Like, well, yeah, the Guardian ones are all 6. Like, technically, Anothos comes in for 6 if you do the pitch right.
If you fulfill the thing, yeah. So that's gonna be interesting as well. Rock as well could be as a big one as well.
Oh
isn't
yeah,
it?
Doesn't Rock attack for 7? So I think Rock.
Yeah, Rock is the most strongest one. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, Rock is like jank city.
Pure jank town. Yeah. Pure copper town. Entrance to the moor.
Yeah. Yeah, you can make the entrance to the mob by just throwing the rock at the ground.
You can. Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just throw the rock at the ground. Open up.
Oh my god.
Open up a new mod to the pits. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Just open up a new entrance. Anyway, yeah, we're in the weeds. We're in absolute weeds now. Talking about living legend weapons, which wasn't on the docket. As a natural progression to the conversation from the Game of Thrones half-an-hour special as well.
Yeah. Really. Yeah.
It wouldn't be a Living Legends podcast if we didn't just go directly off the rails at some point.
Hey, there is some crossover between Game of Thrones and Flesh and Blood. I previewed a card that James White told me was directly inspired by Game of Thrones. It was
true.
Just burn them all. So I know there's at least a little bit of cross-pollination there. So
exactly. Yeah.
But I'm curious to know James White's opinions on the final seasons of Game of Thrones.
Oh, yeah, there we go. We get him on. We ask him. Simple as that.
Well, yeah. What are your opinions on the final season of Game of Thrones?
Yeah.
That's how you.
Please don't wrap up the story like they did. Like, I think it was. Sorry, it was. I think you said it was Russo brothers. It was D&D that did the Game of Thrones. David Benioff and someone else, I think.
Oh,
wasn't Russo brothers, but they did still want to do Star Wars though. The D&D people, I can't remember what their names are.
I'm gonna look up Russo brothers real quick.
Yeah,
Russo brothers. What do they do?
They're sick though. I love Russo brothers. They did Endgame, didn't they?
They did Marvel. Yeah. I thought it was them. I thought they did it. I don't know. I'll have to look. We'll have to look into it. Probably not, because I don't know if anyone cares. I don't know if anyone cares enough to know who the Russo brothers are. But still, that's how you'll know them. It's a Living Legends interview when we ask James White what his opinions of the final season of Game of Thrones are.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Who else to ask the most hard-hitting questions and most relevant in the game? Flesh and Blood. But yeah, thank you very much everybody who's joined us today. I've been Azz from Goarin Gaming, the host for today. And you can find me on Goarin Gaming AZ on Twitter. Posted quite a few profound things on there recently, which have been liked by a fair few people. And on Goarin Gaming YouTube as well. So yeah, go and check those out. And I'll throw it over to same order as before, Bill.
Yeah. I'm Bill from the Spike Feeders. You can find me online at BillTSF. You can also find me on YouTube on the Spike Feeders. One that went up. By the time this comes out, we'll have one that has gone up, I believe. If not that, if not the day that you're listening to this, then Thursday, so the day after.
I think I retweeted a clip from that, didn't I?
Yeah.
Always asking
Elliot
Bill
if
the
he likes
hard-hitting
the-
questions.
Yeah. I asked Elliot if he liked the consistency of his bones. Just good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, over to you, mate. Over to you,
Yeah.
Cal.
So my internet cut out just a little bit when Bill started talking, but I'm gonna assume that he was talking about the new series over on the Spike Feeders Fab, which you should
That's
all
right.
check out. So
Yeah.
you should do that and learn about
Yeah.
consistency of
You
bones.
should do that.
Learn about the consistency of bones. Yeah, but I'm Kel, also known as Red Zone Rogue. You can find me at Red Zone Rogue everywhere. YouTube.com and Twitter are the most common places. I have been posting a lot on both of them recently, and yep, that's where you can find me. And if you want my scalding takes on Flesh and Blood, I guess.
Scalding hot takes.
Scalding.
Or
hot.
the ending of Game of Thrones, and find it here on Living Legends podcast on Red Zone Rogue.
Yeah, well, not. I was thinking about posting about the Resident Evil 4 remake demo, which was really good. You should play that.
Oh, yeah.
If you got, I played it on PS5. I don't know if it's available on other things, but it's really fun. So
Mm.
there's my ending word, my parting words. Have nothing to do with Flesh and Blood. Play the Resident Evil 4 remake demo. It's cool, and it's got my boy Leon in it. So, pew pew pew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a great time with that game on PS2, I think.
Yeah, man.
PS2, yeah, PlayStation 2, Resident Evil 4, one of my favourite games actually of all time.
Yeah.
Used to love it. There's a merchant there, it's like pure Cav Day, and there's like, welcome.
What you buying?
What are you buying?
Yeah.
What are you selling?
Yeah. Oh, it's good stuff. The remake is really good so far. Well, the demo is really good. I very much enjoyed RE2 and RE3 remake, and this one is just as good. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
Epic.
yeah. But I mostly
Thank you very much.
I mostly talk about Flesh and Blood on those things. So
We do, yeah.
don't
yeah.
expect Resident Evil talk if you go follow me.
And I'm really awful at closing off the podcast as well, so I just want to speak to everybody all day. But we have to close it off today, and then tune in next week to do it all over again here on the Living Legends podcast. So cheers, everybody, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you.
Adios.